Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody, and welcome inside another exciting edition of our Little Yankees podcast, episode 26. And I say that a lot, that it's going to be exciting, but the fact is, I think when it really boils down to it, we may have gotten one of the most exciting regular season weeks in New York Yankees history. So without further ado, to talk about it with me are my partners in crime, as always, the one and only, the incomparable Josh Levin.
What's up? It's good to be back. How you guys doing?
We're doing good. And then, of course, we have the man, the myth, the legend himself, Eric Ray Sepulveda. E-Ray.
What's up, guys? How's it going?
It's going good.
Good, man.
Just like Josh asked. So, fact is, boys, and I teased it just there with my perfect intro, that there would be trouble if I told you to find me a more exciting New York Yankees week in regular season history, I think you could say. Between the Yankees having a no-hitter, a plethora of walk-offs, a game that featured a triple play, it really was just all you could ask for and more when it comes to exciting New York Yankees baseball. And we'll get into all of it. We'll talk about Kluber's no-hitter. We'll talk about the series against the Rangers. We'll talk about them facing the White Sox, which plays into it as well. You were facing a team that was coming in as one of the best teams in the American League, if not baseball. But, you know, just to think about the way that the week went down and everything that happened, it's as exciting as it gets.
Yeah, I'm thinking back now, trying to think of a more exciting time. I mean, I always think back to the Minnesota series in 2009, where the walk-off started, and that really sort of like kicked off what was an incredible regular season. But as far as, you know, what happened this week, I mean, yeah, I mean, a no-hitter. Listen, I tweeted out that morning because the night before a no-hitter was thrown, and I tweet. No, I didn't tweet it out. I said it to you guys in our message. I was like, I don't care about a no-hitter in 2021 anymore because it's just happening. It's happening every week. I don't care. Nobody can hit anymore. And then that same night, Corey Kluber throws his no-hitter, and it was incredible. I mean, I was
that night, right, Josh?
It was what?
I said you cared that night.
Oh, I cared. Right? I cared. I'll tell you that much. I mean, I felt like, and I think you guys felt the same way. It felt like a playoff game to me. It felt like a World Series game to me. My heart was pounding as much as it does in a late inning situation of a close playoff game. And when they got the final out, I put my hands on my head. It felt like it was a championship almost. It feels pathetic to say that, but it's true.
As the producer, though, hold on, I'm reeling you in because we will be talking about that. We're not going to be talking about that right now because we do have other stuff that we want to tease. And when we talk about the Texas Rangers series in a few minutes, we will talk about that. So don't give away the store, as they would say in the biz. We will get to that eventually. But as far as the week is concerned, you start with the Corey Kluber no-hitter, which, as you just said, Josh, was pretty much an unbelievable way. And that was just, I think it was Tuesday. It was Tuesday when that happened. And then, or it might've been, it was Wednesday. It was Wednesday. So Wednesday when that happened, you have the really fun game on Thursday with the getaway game. You win 3 out of 4 with that series against Texas. And then you go home to play Chicago. The atmosphere going into that game, being back at Yankee Stadium, everything that went down with that game, it really was just a full 6 days of next level. This is why we care about this team. This is really getting into it, and we're starting to build a relationship with this team baseball.
We kind of buried the lead, I think, because they won 6 in a row, and we didn't even say that.
Exactly. Yep.
And
I honestly forgot about that.
Yeah, because it's been it's just been crazy wins after wins that you kind of get lost in the fact that it's actually a 6-game winning streak. But also another thing is the scoreless inning streak by our starting staff, which is just remarkable and something I never thought I would see in my life as a fan of this team, because pitching is never what they do well, at least from the starting standpoint. So it's been awesome.
You know what's happening though, guys? You know what's happening really?
What's happening?
Yankees are having fun.
Yes.
Yeah.
We are having fun again. On the field, in the stands, us at home. We're all having fun. We're having a great time. And life is good right now as a Yankee fan. And we want it, hopefully, to keep it going because it's great. And it's the complete opposite of what it was in early April, where we were miserable and the Yankees were pathetic and they were losing before they got on that field. But now you turn on the TV every time they play every night, you expect to win and you expect some good things to happen. And that's what happened this past week. We saw some special moments, some special things, and we're going to talk about it.
And you know what is part of this is that they, in April, the two things that killed them were horrible defense and the inability to get a hit in an important situation. And those are the two things that have, in my opinion, two of the things that have propelled them to this incredible run that they've been on, currently with the 6-game winning streak as like the exclamation point. So it's been incredible to watch. It's been so much fun. And like you said, E-Ray, the team is having fun. The fans are having fun. The ballpark is alive. More people are in the ballpark than at the beginning of the season. Yep. It feels like things are starting to roll in the Yankees direction.
Yeah. The more that you kind of check the boxes off from the way that they played in April, you do realize that obviously the offense still has not been there. I was looking at the run differential earlier today, and even though it is positive, it's actually well behind like Tampa Bay and Boston and some of the other teams that are in their own division. So the offense still is not there, but the timely hitting is there, as Josh just mentioned, the ability to get hits in a row. And we can transition in the Texas series in a minute. There's one game that obviously speaks to immediately being able to get timely hits. The pitching staff at this point is being able to overcome the lack of offense, which is something that did not happen in April. We would see pitchers like Corey Kluber go 5 innings or so and then just succumb to the lack of offense, give up hits, and the Yankees wouldn't be able to rally. That has not been the case here over this last month or so. The defense has been superb. It really looks as though the offseason work for Gleyber Torres is now starting to come into its own and start to make a difference. He's not making errors. In fact, he has been absolutely electric at shortstop over the last couple of weeks. He's been making a ton of plays, and Gio's been Gio, and even the outfield defense has been able to help itself out a little bit. And then, of course, their bullpen is their bullpen. Outside of the game against Houston and then the next night in which the Nationals just torched it, it has been as good as it has been the beginning of the year. And that's all you could hope for. They are playing well in every facet of the game. I think they are 10-2 in their last 12 series. Josh, 2 weeks ago when you were on the pod with us, and we talked about it last week when you weren't here, stacking series. That's what you said they had to do. Didn't have to be sweeps, just had to be series wins. And now to go 10-2 in your last 12 series, to win, that many series in a row, that's how you ultimately get to the point in which you're going to be able to make the playoffs and put yourself in a good position where you need to be at the end of the series or at the end of the season. And for the Yankees right now, that's all you can ask for.
Yeah. I mean, that stacking series thing, it's really the truth. If you win 2 out of 3 games in most series, that's 67% winning percentage right there. That's, and obviously they're not going to play to that level over the course of a season, but that's the point stands is if you win as many series as you possibly can, you're going to win a ton of games. And obviously we were annoyed about the missed opportunity of cleaning up those sweeps. And I know it wasn't a sweep in Texas, but I kind of felt like that Thursday game in which, we've seen them lose a lot of those games this season, that Thursday game coming off a no-hitter, that feels like a prime, and it's a day game too, feels like a prime opportunity for just a complete letdown. And they didn't do that. They won that game. And I think for me, that was a sign of like, okay, this is now more than just we're winning 2 out of 3. We're actually going to like step on their throats if we have a chance. And then they did that again against, Chicago, completing the sweep. So it's nice to see that happen. But yeah, man, this stacking series, I'm telling you, that make that the motto of the season. They keep doing this, and they're going to be fine. World Series DVD. They're going to be fine. And World Series DVD, which that Corey Kluber no-hitter is going on the World Series DVD.
That whole week will be part of the World Series DVD.
We're going to have 162 games and more on the World Series.
Well, we know that they're doing the Jeter doc, so obviously they got the guy from 314. I'm sorry, I'm escaping his name. from
I know it's
Randy Wilkins.
They got Randy Wilkins to do the doc for that. Maybe they hire the OLIP crew to the World Series TV.
Let's hope. Let's hope, man. Let's hope, because that means
petition to the New York Yankees. Let the OLIP crew, specifically me, do the World Series DVD.
I was gonna say, at least
we don't have to edit it. I don't want to edit it. I just want to storyboard it if they want. I want to be.
I would love to hear your voice on it. No,
I don't want to narrate.
Imagine mine.
I would actually. I would narrate it if they paid me to narrate it. But for free, I will storyboard it.
All right. Well, hopefully, like Josh said, hopefully there is a World Series DVD that we can talk about.
That's true.
Because we haven't had one in a while. So
you're right. Rather than jump the shark or get ahead of, put the cart ahead of the horse, so to speak. Wrong analogies that I'm using. Let's just get into the Texas series because we have a lot to talk about and we do want to dissect it. And Josh, you mentioned they didn't have an opportunity to go for the sweep, and that's because in really very un-Garrett Cole-like fashion, he kind of came out flat in that game that E-Ray and I last week before the pod both predicted that he was probably going to win and win handily. And they did win 3 out of 4, but it was another situation where you're kind of like, oh shit, this team probably could have swept that too. And you know what? We all give Garrett some slack because he's not only the best pitcher in the American League, he's the Yankees ace and he does everything out there. But it was a little weird. He came out there and he just looked kind of flat, and Texas had his number, and they got on him. And you know what? Credit to them. They were able to tag the best pitcher in baseball or best pitcher in the American League, whatever you want to go with.
Yeah, I felt like he was kind of due for a little bit of a regression just because what he had done up to that point was just so out of this world. And, we saw last year that he's susceptible to the homer, and he really hadn't, given up many this year at all. I think maybe only 1 or 2 before that game in Texas. And, the walks, he hadn't walked anyone. So at a certain point, the other shoe does have to drop. He's not going to, he's not going to pitch like that all season. And it just so happened to come, in Texas, which followed, the loss at the end of last weekend, that disappointing Orioles game. So now, you're kind of looking at a 2-game skid there, and you're not really happy about it. But Cole he left a lot of fastballs up. He didn't have the command that he usually does on the outside part of the plate. And it was just one of those games where you kind of just have to chalk it up. He's not going to have that, he's just not going to be able to do that. And I don't personally, it doesn't bother me. Anybody else has that. Anybody else has that outing, maybe not anybody else, but other players have that outing, I get upset. But with him, it's like, okay, well, on to the next.
Get it out of your system.
And he only has like a 2 ERA now.
Yeah.
God forbid,
prior to his start.
What are we paying you for? 2 ERA?
Well, now it's definitely below that.
I think, yes. Jules, I think I predicted 5-1.
You did.
Right?
Wasn't that the score the other way around though?
It was the other way around.
5-2.
I said 3-0.
Oh, you said 3-0. Okay. I said 5-1.
Mine might have been worse, but
no, man. Yeah. I mean, we don't have to really talk about it more. Garrett Cole just had an off night. It happens. I think one guy that pitched pretty well was Albert Abreu. He pitched pretty well that game. Some good stuff from him. But yeah, Garrett Cole, again, he's not going to pitch the way he's going to pitch like he's been doing. But get out of your system now, Garrett, and don't pitch like that in October. You won't. So it's fine.
And the only other thing to note, I think, is that Luke Voit wound up going yard in that game. And
he did.
It was the first time that he really looked like he was swinging the bat well since coming back from Tampa. Obviously, had gotten on base in the Tampa series, and then going to Baltimore had been able to do some things there. But he really started to do that. But they lose that game, and then it's honestly a little bit weird because I think whether it's you, Josh, or E-Ray, or me, now it's 2 losses in a row. You just lose a game with your ace on the mound. You have Jameson Taillon coming up next, who has been hit or miss this year. And you say to yourself, all right, well, we need him to pitch big in this game. And then they go down 3-0. And we teased it a little bit about 5 minutes ago when we talked about them getting clutch hits. The best inning of the season comes right after Taillon gives up those 3 runs and they're down 3-0. You have the Gio Urshela double. You have the Gary Sanchez double. You have the Andujar base hit. And then you have, of course, the big bases clearing double from DJ LeMahieu. All of a sudden, they're able to get a bunch of runs on the board. They take the lead. And for the first time ever, without the home run, it seemed, they were able to put runs and take a game. And for the first time this season, come back when their backs were against the wall to be able to win that game and pick up Tyone and be able to avoid a 3-game losing streak and be able to split the series at 1 apiece going into that 3rd game.
Yep. I think those games in Cleveland where they got down early and bounced back right away when we were sort of right at rock bottom, and then everything started to change in that series. It kind of reminded me of that, except this was better because, one, they scored 5 runs, but also, hit after hit after hit after hit, no home runs like you mentioned. That's the stuff I like to see from this team, because we all know that, they're capable of these sorts of rallies, but we just don't see them very often. And that's a byproduct of the sport in general, in my opinion. It's not just a Yankee thing, but that is something that I know we as fans want to see more of. We want to see, let's see them get 5-6 hits in an inning, and let's see none of them be homers, and see how this team does and how they can put up numbers like that. And they were able to do it on that in that game. And like you said, they were losing and we all were feeling not great, but then they give us that inning, that rally that we loved. We called it the best inning of the season at the time. The point still stands now after the weekend. I mean, that was huge. It was huge because look what it spurred on. They haven't lost.
Yeah, I think I messaged them guys, what are because they were looking bad in that game.
Yeah.
Lost the night before. They were down 3-0, and I was like, what are the chances they're going to score 3 runs here, guys? It's over. Pessimistic E-Ray. But
especially because Josh and I had said earlier in the year, or earlier in that day to each other, they haven't had like a big
inning like that
comeback inning where they were just down and looked defeated and then just snapped out of it.
Yeah, and like you said, since that inning, it's been nonstop, and we're winning now, and we haven't lost since. And yeah, man, I those innings are great. I would like to see a lot more of those innings as the season progresses, because when the Yankees do damage like that, wasn't that a slogan?
Yeah, don't bring that up.
Slogan. I'm not. Anyway, but yeah, let's continue to not do damage and get a string of hits.
It was certainly an impressive inning. I think I speak for all 3 of us when we say it's nice to score some runs without a homer.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. That's all I ever want to see. Honestly,
do like the long ball though. E-Ray digs the long ball, but you like those type of innings.
When you get into a playoff game and it's a good team against a good team and it's good pitching against good hitting,
you
need home runs. So let's not we can't act like too many homers and that's all they do.
Yeah.
That's how you win games. We've seen that in the past and we've been on the wrong end of it. But it is nice to see, at least in the regular season, that they're capable of this, especially with the way the lineup has looked, the way the offense has looked through the first 2 months of the season, almost 2 months of the season. It hasn't been good, but you want to know that stuff is in there, and we know that's in there. They did it again over the weekend. We won't talk about it now because we'll get to it later, but they've now been able to put up crooked numbers without having to rely on the 3-run homer. So that is, as far as I'm concerned, with this lineup and this offense and these players, that's the stuff that I like to see more than anything else, is those type of rallies.
All right. I agree. E-Ray, you have any final points there?
No.
All right, perfect. Then shut up. No. Anyway, so they win that game. It's 1-1, and now we can get into the nice meat and potatoes of the series against Texas. Josh already foreshadowed it. There was a no-hitter the night that the Yankees won before Corey Kluber pitched. I think it was Turnbull. Isn't that who wound up throwing?
Yeah, Spencer Turnbull.
One of the 80 pitchers that threw a no-hitter so far this.
Yeah, I think Kluber's was 7 exactly, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So there had been 6 no-hitters before Corey Kluber took the mound, including Spencer Turnbull's the night before. Josh already laid out. We had discussed how the no-hitter was meaningless, despite the fact that the New York Yankees going into that game had not thrown a no-hitter for 22 seasons. I was 6 years old at the time that David Cone threw his perfect game in 1999. I would be lying if I told you I remember watching it on TV. Obviously, I've seen every single highlight of David Cone's perfect game and have watched the Yankee Classic since then, but I had not seen it. So that, for me, was really the first real no-hitter that I could remember for the Yankees watching. And started like any other game, Corey Kluber bobblehead night, because of course he pitched 1 inning for Texas the year before. So they repurposed the bobbleheads and gave him opportunity to have the fans get a Corey Kluber bobblehead, even though he was pitching for the New York Yankees. I remember Sweeney tweeting a very tongue-in-cheek, Corey Kluber has gone 1 inning of no-hit baseball, and we have to say things like that now because Major League Baseball has changed the baseball, so there's no hitter every night. But I guess the question becomes, at what point, if at all, did you guys sort of think to yourself, all right, maybe we'll see this tonight?
To be honest with you, it didn't cross my mind until I got an ESPN alert after the 6th inning. Okay. And it said, Corey Kluber has in the 7th inning, Corey Kluber has allowed no hits or whatever it was. And then I was like, oh, wow. I wasn't even like, yeah. It wasn't on my mind, because I feel like it's too early in the game to be kind of thinking that way. And like, obviously I'm looking at the scoreboard.
That happened with the perfect game too. You walked the guy in the 3rd.
I'm looking at the scoreboard and I see the 0 for Texas, but it's not really registering in my head that this is something that I need to, be on the lookout for. I told you guys this last week. Pretty much every game I watch, I say to myself, is this the one that's going to be the no-hitter? Because like you, Jules, we're the same age. So I was too young for all the other no-hitters. E-Ray, you're a year older than us. So it's sort of the same thing. And like, I've always wanted to see it. And every time, a Yankee starter goes 3 innings hitless to get through the order the first time, I'm like, okay, we've got something here. And so it's like, it's always in the back of my mind is like, is this going to be the one? And then that night, it just, for whatever reason, it didn't click in my head. And then when I got the alert, I was like, whoa, okay. So then, I'm really, really focused on that. And it became sort of this like moment for all Yankee fans on Twitter and everything. And amongst us in our group chat, like it became a moment where it's like, are you watching this? You should probably put on the Yes Network right now because something is going on that you may want to, say that you were able to watch in 10, 15, 20 years from now. And it's an experience that I'm never going to forget. I mentioned it before. It felt like a postseason game, and it's one of those regular season games. There's not many of those where you're never going to forget watching it, where you were, your emotions, just everything about it, the entire experience. It was so much fun. I'm never going to take a no-hitter for granted again, because I now realize watching my own team do it, how hard it is for a pitcher to get through a game without giving up a hit. As watered down as it may be, it's still a heck of an achievement. And when it happens for your team, it's a different level.
And what I've always kind of thought is that there are different levels to the no-hitter. I mean, people used to talk about the AJ Burnett no-hitter where he
walked like 10 guys,
8 guys or whatever it was. And that was like, all right, a no-hitter to the lowest extent, or like the ones where it's like you walk a guy and then you give up a run while pitching a no-hitter or something like that. But this one, I mean, really, if you think about it, he pitched as good as he could have pitched. I think he faced 28 batters, so not the minimum 27, but the only guy that he let on was a 3-2 count walk. He struck out, I think, 9 batters, so almost double digits. He only had 101 pitches. He was really economical, and he looked really good while doing it. And Josh, I'm glad you kind of said that you'll remember where you were and that you loved seeing this, because there was almost like a narrative, I felt like, at least among like sports talk radio around here in the New York area, that like Yankee fans were kind of not appreciative of the no-hitter. And to me, that really couldn't be like furthest from the point. I mean, personally speaking, I was super excited to be able to watch it. And I mean, you guys will notice here, I changed up my background again, because that's always something that I do over the course of this. But I don't know if I'm going to be changing this background up, because there's sort of a connection with where I'm sitting. This chair I'm in, this Lazy Boy, was my grandma's Lazy Boy chair. And she was the person who, for me, when I was growing up, was a huge Yankee fan. She passed the Yankee fandom down to me when I was a little kid. I would always go and hang out with her, and either she would watch the game in the chair or I would watch the game in the chair. And my wife and I just recently moved into a new apartment. And so for the first time all year, I got to watch the game in the chair. And it was only like perfect that the first game back was the game that was the no-hitter in my grandma's chair. And just so to have the sentimentality of that and to also get to see, you know, the team who's never had a no-hitter before throw a no-hitter, to see the guys celebrate, even if Corey Kluber is a mercenary, so to speak, a hired gun who you hope leads you to a World Series. It's like, you know, you don't have to be David Cohn or one of these longtime great Yankees to have the team appreciate you throwing a no-hitter, to have this epic moment, because the fact is the guys behind him were guys that we could get behind too. If it's not Kluber, it's Higgy, this guy who prior to a couple of years ago had been a career minor leaguer, coming up here and now being the favorite catcher of our two aces. Or, you know, a guy like Tyler Wade, who, you know, I admittedly call bad Ben Zobrist, going out there in right field and making plays to be able to help them do it. Or the entire back of the field, DJ and Gio, Glaber making some good plays on defense, Voit with some big stretches, guys in the outfield. It's like Kluber said it best, it will go down in history as the team having done it. And that's why for us as fans, I thought it meant a lot, especially having been 22 years since we saw it. I think for the team, it definitely meant a lot. And you know what? If they win the World Series, and the last 3 times they've thrown a no-hitter, they've won the World Series. If they win a World Series, you'll look at this as one of those moments, not to use the World Series, like, you know, David Cohn's perfect game when they won. You know, that sort of stuff will resonate as worthwhile for the team having won.
Yeah, I mean, I teared up, guys. I mean, I tear for a lot of things, and I'm an emotional guy, as everyone knows. But yeah, man, I teared up. Just like, again, as you were saying, Jules and Josh, like seeing Corey Kluber smile, seeing everyone, like they go around the horn and seeing like everyone's like faces and just so happy. And again, we haven't seen a team jump up and down like that since they won the World Series. No, well, we've seen them when they win the playoff series. But that moment last week was just so magical because, again, like you said, it's kind of insane how long it's been since we've seen that. I think the last person that was close, was it Phil Hughes or was it someone?
I kind of remember a CC Sabathia one where he went like almost like 7 2/3 or something like that. Obviously, the one that is not the closest, but the one that sticks out in everybody's mind is the Mike Mussina one.
Yes,
with game with 8 2/3 innings where he wasn't able to get it.
Literally right there, yeah.
Yeah, but off the top of my head, maybe Hughes, Sabathia, it kind of rings it, but you know, there's been some that have blurred in there as far as like guys who have been close to throwing a no-hitter. But this is the first one I could really remember where it's like it was so close, like you could taste it, and then it happened.
Yeah, and hopefully, I mean, you said it, like the last 2 times they've won the World Series. Eventually, one of those stats has to stick, right? Because every year their stats were like the last time they did this, they won the World Series. Well,
I know there was the one that was when there's a Democrat in office. They usually they usually win a World Series. After Anthony Davis won Kentucky that title, it was like every year that Kentucky wins, the Yankees win a World Series. So, did the Yankees win the last time the Knicks were in the playoffs?
No, they did not. They didn't make the playoffs in 2013.
Well, we don't want that one.
We don't want that.
But I don't think there's a correlation there because the Yankees won all those World Series in the 90s when the Knicks were good. So I think we're okay. Right. I think we're good on that one.
Yeah,
absolutely. But it'll be interesting to see. So Yankees get the big victory there. Obviously, that's the thing that, you know, is almost overshadowed, but a no-hitter is a win. And then you go into the next game where Josh mentioned it before. This has really been the beginning of what is a renaissance for this rotation. You have Domingo Germán on getaway day in a game that traditionally has not been good for the Yankees, these Thursday getaway day games. I think when you really look at it, there was not a better performance you could have seen from Germán, because I really straight up said this. You're going to get a game where it almost looks as though there is not a bigger guarantee that the Yankees lose than this game. But Armand goes tit for tat with the Texas Rangers. He pitches fantastic. And then you get the opportunity to see the Yankees score some runs late, and they steal a victory there. So that's all you could really hope for, Ray.
Yeah, I mean, Herman's been freaking electric, man. And I think the they won that game 2-0, and the two times they got the runs is pinch hitter. Gio Urshela has been the best freaking pinch hitter this season so far for the Yankees, and then Aaron Judge also
first career pinch hit.
Oh yeah, wow, a lot of first career, as we'll talk about it for Aaron just later on in this podcast. But yeah, man, Herman, it was a pitcher's duel again in that Thursday matinee game, and Herman outdueled who was pitching for the Rangers again? I think it was Dane Dunning. And yeah, we came up clutch again in the 7th inning, and we won another close game, and we won 3 out of 4, and that's another series win for the Yankees. So it was a great time to be in Texas for the New York Yankees. And I got to tell you, though, you guys, that camera angle over there.
Oh, my God.
I kind of liked it.
No.
You liked it, Jules?
No. Yeah, I liked it.
Oh, man. No. I despised it. Dude, I thought Corey
horrible
no-hitter was gone, like, every time.
Yeah, dude.
There were some hard-hit balls, but Jesus, like, I hate that camera angle.
No, it was unique.
The catch Wade made in the 9th, that running catch he made towards the line. I know that ball wasn't hit hard. Like, we saw the exit velocity stats and all that stuff. But the way the camera was set up so high up, that ball looked to me that it was either going to be gone or go to the wall. And I was like, well, that's it. And then, it's just like kind of like a lazy fly ball. I hated it. I don't like that park. I hate the turf. It's dark in there. I don't like it at all. I'm glad they only have to play there once a season. I'm glad they won 3 out of 4 in that stupid ballpark.
I guess you're never going to.
No. And shout out to Aaron Boone, because we give him a lot of crap, and he deserves a lot of it. But in that game, in the final game of the series, he makes 2 great moves with those pinch hits, and that wins them the game. And you have to have, obviously, when you give Urshela and you give Judge a day off, you have to kind of, assuming they're healthy, which they are, you have to give them, you have to assume that they're possibly going to be, used in the game if you need a pinch hitter late in that situation or in that sort of situation. But you have to give Boone credit for actually pushing the correct button and doing it. Yeah. And that you have to have the right proper feel for that moment, and it worked. And so I just want to give him credit for that, because we'll be the first ones to blame him or
I mean, in that same game, he literally admitted he should have challenged something, and he straight didn't.
Well, that's an issue that's happened more than once this season, that challenge thing. But I think the 2 moves that won them that game were the pinch hitting decisions, and it worked out. So got to give him credit there.
No, I agree, absolutely.
And the big thing is we won a Thursday day game, guys.
Yeah.
Yes.
We literally won a Thursday day game.
They finally did it. And now we'll have to see whether or not they can ride the Thursday day game momentum to their next one. So going into this weekend, this is probably outside of maybe the Houston series, one of the more hyped up series, at least from a baseball's perspective, that we've seen this year. You have Chicago coming in, who, granted, them and Tony La Russa, the players and Tony La Russa, have their own issues, and everything going on with him being a clown and the going yard on 3-0 thing. But they're one of the best teams in baseball. Their rotation is stupid good. Their hitters and their lineup are next level. And they have a lot of Cubans. Shout out to my wife. She's Cuban. So, I respect that. I like that. I don't know. But going into the series, people were hyped about it. I feel like there was buzz on Twitter. And, that first game, there really was like, I don't know, if, no hitter aside, I don't know if I've seen a game, at least since like 2009 with those walk-offs and stuff like that, where you've just had like a pound for pound insane entertaining regular season game. Josh, it might be different for you because you were at that 9-0 comeback game a few years ago, but it's like when you think of the way that this game went, you had Jordan Montgomery going toe-to-toe with Rodon and Montgomery both go 7 innings each. They strike out double digits. Yeah, I think it was 15 for Rodon and 11 for Jordan Montgomery. So two guys just absolutely demolishing each other's opposing lineups. Then you have Glaber with the Oppo short porch homer to get the Yankees on the board 1-0. Next inning, the little bloop flare hit that makes it 1-1. Then ninth inning, Chapman absolutely ass. And we all say to it, it's like, this is it. He's going to give up a run. Yankees are going to lose this game. And a goddamn triple play happens. I don't remember. 2014 was the last time, but I really couldn't remember off the top of my head until I looked it up the last time I had seen a triple play. And then the Yankees finally come through in the clutch. They avoid the gimmick extra inning base runner rule to be able to win that game. That was what felt like a playoff win. At Yankee Stadium, the crowd super hot for this series. To have that final 3-inning stretch, and on top of that, have the two good starts from Kluber and Armand be carried over to that start by Montgomery, who we know has been wildly inconsistent this year. That game was like flooring. There are the games where you sit afterwards and you just like go on your phone and you rewatch the highlights. That was me for like a solid 2 hours after the game had ended.
There was a lot of, there's a lot of stats on this White Sox lineup, and they crush left-handed pitching. They just absolutely demolish it. They're pretty much an automatic win when they face a lefty. So having Montgomery start that series, you're thinking, this may not go so well, especially coming off that clunker he had in Baltimore. Yep. But he was the exact opposite. He was brilliant, and he went toe-to-toe with a guy whose ERA was 1.5. And had already thrown a no-hitter this year in Rodon. So, yeah, I mean, he stepped up to that moment because he needed to pitch that well. They were matching zeros. So, yeah, I mean, like the beginning of that game was sort of boring because it was a ton of strikeouts. But, yeah, I mean, like you mentioned, to get that Glaber homer, which was a cheapie, but you'll take it because the power has not been there for him. We're happy about that. But the triple play, I mean, what do you say? I mean, this sort of stuff doesn't happen. A no-hitter and a triple play in the same week, that just doesn't happen. It doesn't happen for a lot of teams to happen at all in the same season, let alone the same week. So, I mean, it was incredible. I don't know about you guys, but the thought of a triple play, the idea of that didn't even like come into my head at all until I saw.
I said it in like the joking way that you always do, like, the only way he's going to get out of this is a triple play,
right?
It wasn't then, let's get the triple play now.
Odor gets the ball at second, and he turns to throw to first, and I'm like, what the hell is he doing? And then I'm like, oh shit, he's going to turn a triple play, and it was another one of those moments where I just put my hands on my head and I laughed, and it was just another moment that you're never going to forget because that sort of stuff just doesn't happen. And it's so fun to look at the highlights now and like look at all the different reactions. Like Chapman's reaction was great. I don't know if you guys saw.
Yeah.
But, he like bananas.
And he was like smiling like you never see him smile. It was a better smile than the smiles he has after he gives up season-ending homers. It was awesome. It was awesome. I'm just messing. It was awesome, man. It was that game. The end of that game is one of those classic sort of endings.
That type of wins on what?
World Series DVD.
Yeah, and
this you said week. That's what I told you.
It felt like a postseason game, and Glaber said that after the game. He said this felt like we were playing a playoff game, and Glaber has been good in the playoffs, so it's no wonder he came through in the clutch in that ninth inning. Fantastic win. One of those games that you're going to remember that one for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
That's the first time I think I saw this tweet. It's the first time in baseball history, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. Where a team has like a walk-off, a no-hitter, and a triple play in like the same week or the same amount of games or something.
I mean, the only thing they were really missing was like a cycle.
That's true.
That was the only thing that of those like Major League Baseball like grab bag type things that they can usually get. Like the only thing they were missing was the cycle.
So Jules, you were saying you were watching the highlights after that type of game because so many special moments like that, so many big moments in the game. Well, I actually wasn't able to watch the game. This weekend was very interesting for me. Actually, we could talk about it, but I didn't watch Friday, but I did watch the triple play at the bar, and I did see the walk off. So I saw the big moments at the bar, and the bar was rowdy, the bar was ecstatic. They were chanting, but I saw the highlights, and I saw they had like those Vince games after the game, so I missed a good one. But yeah,
you
man.
did, and tell everybody why you missed it.
Oh yeah, I had a date.
Let's go.
Yeah.
I was on a date.
I was. I know. When I was there, I was like, "You sure you want to do this?" I mean,
That's what we say to ourselves every week when we record this podcast.
Exactly.
No, but when I saw that, so I didn't check the score at all the whole time. But then, like, people were starting to. I think when Glaber hit the home run to make it 1-0, I think that was the 7th inning or something. Like the bar started getting loud. So then I started like looking at the TV, and then I started looking at the TV a lot. But she understood that I'm a big Yankee fan. So, and I kept like saying like, I'm sorry, like, but I kind of have to keep like looking at this now.
And she was okay with it?
She understood. I mean, we'll see if there's another date. Maybe she wasn't, but we'll see.
Sorry, I got a little visitor here.
He was okay with that. Oh my God.
Wow. Cole.
Cole makes his first appearance.
You know what? Cole knows that we're going to be talking about the Garrett Cole game next.
That's
Wow.
right. That's right.
His namesake. He had to pop in for that. Your dog is much more well behaved than my dog. If my dog was on camera right now, he'd be losing his shit.
Well, the reason why my video keeps going away is because I have to deal with this little guy. So I don't know about that.
Let's see. My wife is now mad at me because I said our dog was ill behaved. Rocco is excellently behaved. He's a great dog. He's fantastic. Everything I said was a complete lie and complete fallacy. Anyway, so E-Ray, he was on a date Friday night, and then he ended up in the hospital on Saturday. So
we could talk about. So I missed a little of Saturday.
It had nothing to do with the heartbreak of the date.
No, that was not at all.
But
Saturday was an interesting day as well. I was feeling some heart palpitations.
It was from the date the night before.
No, it was no. But I woke up fine Saturday morning, but then like I was sitting in my chair playing the show, and I wasn't even getting angry in the show. But then I felt like my heart starting or my chest starting to twitch and stuff. And I was like, it was happening for 3 to 4 hours. And I was like, let me just go to the hospital. It's literally a block away. Because I have like anxiety. So I was like, oh God, what's going on?
You got healthcare. What luck, right?
Yeah, exactly. So they took an EKG, everything good. They took blood work, everything good. They actually said it might have been a muscle spasm. So maybe
the heart is a muscle.
That's true. So and it was still, I kid you not, it was still happening. Like it happened until I went to sleep Saturday night. Like again, it might have not been my heart though, because again, everything was good. So, but yeah, so I missed a little of that game as well Saturday. I mean, I was watching in my hospital bed with my Yankee. But yeah, that was a very interesting 2 days so far. You know, the biggest series for the Yankees. So I mean, Houston as well and Tampa Bay, I guess. But another big series is Chicago White Sox. I name all the series. No, but but the AL Central leading Chicago White Sox, big series. But yeah, the first 2 games I kind of was watching here and there, but whatever.
Well, here's the thing. We get it. And the fact is, not only was obviously the excitement of this series this weekend, but, you know, start of NBA playoffs was this weekend. Obviously, if you're a soccer fan, you had the last match day for a lot of the major European leagues. So there's a lot going on this weekend. And the Yankees
Stanley Cup playoffs, if you're into
Stanley
that sort
Cup
of
playoffs.
thing.
Yep. And so, you know, they were kind of jam-packed, smashed right in the middle of everything going on. But they still had 2 great games. As far as the final 2 games are concerned, because we've kind of dragged on a little bit with this recap here, and we have some other stuff to talk about. You had Cole, who pitched majestically in the game on Saturday, just as his dog namesake would suggest. Great looking pitcher, looked great on Saturday. And the Yankees offense woke up again. They scored 7 runs, and they looked really good while doing it. And then Sunday, you had the Jameson Tyone revenge game, so to speak. He did not look good in the last start before that, and then he had not been pitching good the last couple of weeks. But he went 5 scoreless innings on Sunday. White Sox did wind up coming back in that game, but the Yankees were able to get a 9th inning walk-off where Aaron Judge had a walk-off walk. It was the first time in his career he ever had a walk-off RBI. So Yankees, who we have been critical about not sweeping series, did sweep the White Sox, and they really just flexed their muscles this weekend, winning all the games in very dramatic fashion and looking really good while doing it. So for them, another series win. They've now won 6 straight games. If it wasn't for Tampa Bay having won 10 in a row, they would probably be
11 now.
Tied.
They won today.
11-0 now, yeah. So they would either be tied for the series for the lead, the division lead. Right now, Jesus, I can't speak right now. They'd either be tied for the division lead, or they would have an opportunity to at least be in the division lead, because Boston has been good, but they haven't won that many in a row like the Yankees and Tampa have.
The Yankees are just a half game back and tied in the loss column. They played one less game. So, I mean, all these teams are right now, they're evenly matched. And I'm excited. The upcoming schedule, you see the Rays again at home. We're going to see the Red Sox again, for the first time next week.
Which is crazy. That's wild.
Yeah, man. June is the first Red Sox series this season. But it's coming at a good time because the Yankees are playing good ball. The Red Sox have been playing good baseball since after their first series of the season. So now we get to see how do these two teams stack up with each other. We get to see the Rays before that. So this is a big couple of weeks here coming up for the Yankees, because we got some important divisional games. We've seen them face Houston. We've seen them face Tampa. We've seen them face Chicago. In my opinion, they've looked better than each of those teams. But now we see Tampa again coming at their hottest point of the season later in the week. And then we see Boston after that. So this is going to be interesting. This is going to be fun. I'm looking forward to what's to come for this team. I think things are looking good, and I think there's going to be exciting baseball in the Bronx.
Well, we're seeing how good this division is, right? The AL East. I mean, the Blue Jays they have a good record as well. They're going to be right there. They're going to be tough. Speaking of the Blue Jays, Guerrero's having a fantastic year. But yeah, man, I mean, if you're the Yankees, you got to win your divisional games. That's going to win the division, of course. And we want to be at the top of the American League. So it sucks, though, I have to say, because it's very annoying that the Red Sox are good. I don't
always is
why they do this. They always do this. They are in last place. They are terrible. They are miserable. And then they just surprise you. And the Red Sox were not supposed to be in the equation this year, but here they are. We'll see. I think their schedule hasn't been that tough, but hey, they're still winning games. I'm going to give credit to them. Their offense has been amazing, are pretty consistent as well. Probably more consistent than the Yankees' offense has been. The Yankees have been carried by their pitching. So yeah, Josh, like you said, these next 2 weeks, it's going to be some exciting stuff, and it's probably going to be past that. It's going to be a very interesting summer. It's going to be a very stressful summer. It's going to be nervous summer. It's going to be a fight. It's going to be a dog fight to the end. So I'm ready to get it going. And the Yankees are playing good baseball, so that's all you can ask for.
It's honestly a little weird that the Red Sox are as good as they are, because I feel like a lot of us almost wrote them off because of the fact that we didn't expect them to be as good as they have shown so far this year. So it'll be interesting to see. I am excited for that series, and it's going to be a tough stretch because I think they also play Toronto and Tampa Bay during that sort of 10, 15 game stretch when they play Boston. So it'll be worthwhile to see. That rivalry severely needs some juice. I mean, I'll fully admit it. It's like we all hate the Red Sox, Yankees, Red Sox, the rivalry, but it's like, come on, we need some juice in that. So them being good, hopefully, and us being good, can only get some bad blood there. That's what we really.
But you know what though? And look at the two rivalries the Yankees have right now, the Astros and the Rays. And you know what built all that up was the Astros ending the Yankee season multiple times, the cheating. They're with the Rays. It's been the back and forth purpose pitches, the bean balls. Then obviously ending last season's playoff hopes. That's what it takes to get a rivalry started now. The Yankees and Red Sox don't have that baggage.
Red Sox kind of screwed themselves by being crappy last year because they beat us and
they whooped their ass in 2018.
Yeah, they did. There was a fight in 2018 in the beginning of the season. And
the whole music thing, that was a thing.
And then that in the playoffs, but it's fallen off a cliff again after that. And I just don't know if there's that kind of juice there right now with these players. The players have to hate each other, and they don't with these two
teams. The Yankees
teams.
and Rays hate each other. The Yankees, Astros, but we'll see though. I mean, again, there's always that. It's there with the Red Sox. Because I know for you, I think I know for you guys, right now we hate the Rays and Astros more, but of all time, the Red Sox are still my team of all time. And I want that juice. I mean, I don't want them to be good. I do like when they're.
You need that juice.
But you need that juice. But the problem with that juice, guys, is that the Yankees always
gives you GERD.
They always get clowned by their rivals. So
the juice is sour with the Yankees. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, it's like they get punched and they just stay down. But hopefully that changes this year. So we'll see.
We'll see. Hopefully. So that I think is the first weekend in June, right? Is when
June 4th, 5th, and 6th. The Yankees also have the Tigers in there, so hopefully we can get some 3 wins.
Yeah, fatten up a little bit on that before having that really tough stretch. Let's do some housekeeping because there were some other things that happened this week as far as the Yankees are concerned. First one was it is pretty much official that Aaron Hicks will not be on the Yankees for a foreseeable future. He is going to opt to get the surgery, which means that, hey, for all intents and purposes, you're going to get an opportunity to see some other guys play center field for this team. Right now, Josh, it kind of looks like it will be Brett Gardner, but it could potentially be Estevan Florial in the future. We don't know, depending on what happens with him in AAA. It was going to be Ryan LeMaire for a bit, and then he pulled his hamstring, so he's on the 10-day DL. But, hey, it's going to be anybody but Aaron Hicks.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't with you guys last week, but I said it to you at other points when we got the news about the Hicks injury. In my head, he was done for the year, regardless of if he was going to try to come back and play through it or not. And I still feel the same way with the surgery. It was an indefinite timetable. They said months. They didn't say, out for the season. They didn't say 3-4 months. So that could mean he's out for the season. That could mean he comes back. But in my mind, we have moved on from Aaron Hicks in 2021. We're on to Cincinnati. Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. I pray that he is done for the year, because I said this on Twitter and wound up getting a lot of likes on it when I said it. It would be so typical Yankees to get somebody. DeShields was the name that was brought up this week as somebody the Yankees had inquired about with Texas to play that position. Decent guy, not great, would get on base, but we remember what happened when they got Cameron Maybin a couple of years ago with the replacement guys. Turned out to be a really good player for them. Never saw any action in the playoffs. They brought back Aaron Hicks's injured ass, and he, of course, had the big home run, the Greg Bird-esque home run versus Verlander in the ALCS. And you could only imagine that happening this year and him coming back and then going 2 for 16 with 10 Ks and like 8 walks.
Yeah, I mean, since we've seen it happen before, you can't discount the possibility of it happening again. I think, with the way they're playing right now and the way the pitching has been all season. So at this point, we're almost at Memorial Day. That's sort of when you start to see what's going on and what looks real and what doesn't. The pitching looks real. So with the way they're playing right now, I feel like they're very comfortable just leaving Gardner in center field. We know they're comfortable with Gardner. So I think that they're going to run with that for as long as they can. And if, he performs as poorly as he has so far this season, could see them going for a change. But even if Gardner is the guy that ends up playing center field for the rest of the season, they're going to need somebody else to be a backup out there. So I do think at some point they'll acquire an outfielder. The left field situation is still sort of shaky. Andujar's been playing better. Frazier had 3 hits yesterday, which was nice to see. So
hopefully
I feel like
he gets hot, man. We need Clint to get.
Yeah, the outfield situation is still sort of murky. But I think that the Yankees have time to, let it play out, watch it play out. I feel like a week ago, we kind of felt like they needed to address it right away. But I think things have sort of settled a little bit in the last week, even though
reactionary.
Oh yeah, that's the thing too. We're a little bit reactionary. Yes. I don't know if you've noticed, but yeah, no, I to get it back onto Hicks, for me, he's done for the season, and I won't count on seeing him again, and the Yankees shouldn't either.
Other injury-wise, we had the scare, I think it was last week, actually, Ray, where
I mentioned it.
Zach Britton might have a setback, but it turns out that was just a big false alarm, and he actually is going to start facing some live batters and getting into some games soon. So it looks as though, hey, maybe even by early to mid-June, Zach Britton might be back in the bullpen, which is a gigantic benefit for a bullpen that is already the best in the baseball, I guess you could make the case, but at least the best in the American League. And Darren O'Day also seems like he could be on track to start throwing soon and starting to ramp some things up. So some reinforcements for the Yankees, which also could potentially open them up to making a deal to unload somebody like Justin Wilson, who at this point we just never see anymore. He has no trust with the New York Yankees.
You see him in mop up
office.
Yeah, he's only in the game if the game is over, regardless of who's ahead. And
we'll have to see.
He's the lowest one on the totem pole right now.
Yep, absolutely.
And I like that signing too when it happened. I mean, the season's so young in a way, but right now they're not trusting him in those big spots, which I understand. So and they should build him back up into that trust circle. You know what I mean,
so it goes without saying the day we're recording this is Monday, as we always do, which means the Yankees have off. But their upcoming series, let's take a look at it. They have Toronto again, another 3-game set against a very, very good AL East opponent. Corey Kluber gets on the mound for the first time since his no-hitter in Tuesday's game, and then they will play a game on Wednesday at 7:05 and Thursday at 7:05 before heading out to Detroit to take on the Tigers for a 3-game set. Pitching should be good. Kluber has a chance to pitch at Yankee Stadium against a Toronto team. We'll have to see. And as far as what to expect from this series is concerned, I want to see them carry their vibes over, win this series against Toronto, because really the AL East outside of Baltimore has been their toughest back and forth. They won the series against Tampa a few weeks ago, but obviously Tampa had beaten them there. And then when they were down to Dunedin, they weren't able to beat Toronto there. And then they weren't able to beat them in the opening series. So they've had some trouble with these tougher AL East opponents.
Yeah, Toronto's a team that gives the Yankees trouble. Their lineup is tough to pitch to. And we know that
Biggio just got hurt for them.
Yes, he did. And Ire mentioned before that Vlad is just on a tear right now. I think he's got 39 RBIs. He's leading the league in homers with 15.
35 average.
Yeah, he's hitting well over 300. I mean, that lineup is strong.
Imagine if they had Brantley. Thank God they didn't.
Yeah, man.
And Springer's still hurt.
Yes, but they have Yankee killer Randall Grichuk. So that's still something that we have to deal with. But
Vlad's just good enough to not win the MVP right now.
Yeah, because he doesn't pitch. He doesn't also pitch. But Corey Kluber, this I think is an interesting game for him tomorrow, because obviously he's coming off a no-hitter. That was against Texas, a team that's been no-hit twice. They're not a good team. The previous start came against Baltimore. He pitched okay in that game, not great. But that's a weak hitting team as well. Now he's facing a little bit of a tougher opponent. I'm curious to see how he performs in this game against a little bit better, a higher quality opponent this time around. Let's see how he does it. I want to see him carry it over and let the rest of the guys fall in line, because I like me some good starting pitching. It's something we don't get a lot of around here usually, but this season we have it in plentiful amount of good starting pitching. Let's keep that going, because it's fun when your guys are putting zeros up. And that is what I want to see happen more of, because I love it. I freaking love it.
Mm-hmm. And if they pitch good against Toronto, then they should pitch good this weekend, because they're playing a really crappy Detroit team. You right?
I want to see, we talk about, Gleyber Torres has been amazing. He's back. Our Gleyber Torres is back. I want to see DJ pick it up again. DJ get it going. He's struggling a little bit, but I know he's going to be okay. I want Clint to continue that hotness from Sunday. He had 3 hits. He had that hit in the 9th inning, that stolen base. We need him again. We need that swaggy Clint to be the Clint Frazier that we know he could be. And the next time out, Tyone. Tyone, he doesn't need to be dominant. He just needs to be effective. And we saw that this past Sunday. And the next time out there, I just want him to build on that as well. So for me, it's just a lot of building on things, trying to get these players into a groove, get some confidence, and get them going. Because, it's a team game. We need all these guys to do well at once. So, yeah, that's what I want to see in the next time.
As for Tyone's purposes, the rotation right now will line up with Kluber on Tuesday, Herman on Wednesday, Montgomery on Thursday. So he would be scheduled to make the start. That would be Saturday against Detroit on the road. So we'll have to see. he would have a nice lineup to be able to try and do it against. So only time will tell from that perspective. For me, I want to see Stanton back, baby.
Yeah.
He's back.
I forgot about that guy.
Activated on Tuesday. Odds are, if you guys listen to Talking Yanks, it seems as though Mike Ford is probably the guy who will at some point get sent down. But according to them, there might be some noodling with what they're going to do with the lineup as far as certain Yankee members having babies and going on to paternity leave. They're not having the babies physically, of course, but their wives or their wags, as they say, are having babies. So therefore, you might see one DJ LeMahieu or Luke Voigt go on paternity leave for a day or two in favor of keeping Mike Ford on the roster. So we'll see, but I want to see Stan back because he was on a tear before he got hurt. And Judge was kind of down in the dumps. And then Stanton got hurt, and Judge now has been one of the best players in the American League. He's been absolutely destroying the baseball and has been driving in runs and hitting for average and just absolutely killing it. So he's your 3-hitter. I want to see 2-hitter Stanton, the best 2-hitter in the league, go out there and do his thing in the 2-hole. And these guys finally get on the same page. What we know they can be and what we've seen them be when they're both healthy. Let's just do it together and let's make it work, because if they can do that, then that's going to be lit. And the other thing I want to see is Papa continue to do his thing.
Yeah.
How great has it been to see Miguel Andujar come back up and hit well and earn the spot that was unfortunately taken from him when he got hurt and Gio Urshela just became automatic. You said it before this weekend, guys. We thought it was Glaber and Papa. Then we thought it was Glaber and our little Gio. But it's Papa, our little Gio, and Glaber doing it together. They're hitting well. They're playing great defense. They're making plays. They're dominating. And they look cute and they look happy while doing it. They're laughing. They're yucking it up. They're making moves with each other. You throwing our little Spitfire Rugi Odor in there too. This is like
they're having nice fun, guys.
Fun little gumbo we're cooking here. I love seeing that. Keep having fun. Yes. Keep having fun.
You know what? With Andujar, it's not a surprise, man. He needed consistent at bats. He just needed a chance to play. And he's starting to make good on that chance. And I'm a little nervous that when, Stanton's back and the paternity situation is settled down and all the guys are back, I'm a little nervous that Miguel Andujar is going to be the one.
They
don't
get send down Mike Ford, bro. I'm gonna.
You know why though?
I will have
because I'll tell you because Ford, they're fine with keeping him on the bench and him not having regular at bats, him playing once, twice a week. They're fine with that. They're not invested in his.
They want Andujar to keep
future. They're invested in Andujar's future, and for him to play at the level that we saw him play at 3 years ago, he needs to play every day. And if they're not going to have the chance for him to play every day here because Clint is healthy, he's back from his neck stuff, then I think Andujar is going to be the one to go down. I think Ford's going to survive. I don't want that to happen. You guys, everyone knows I don't like Mike Ford. Everyone knows it. But that's what I'm worried about. And I do believe that will happen. And I hope I'm wrong.
I said this.
If anyone likes Mike Ford, please get out.
Yeah, get lost. I've said this, and I fully believe this. They need to give Giancarlo Stanton 2 days off a week.
I agree with you.
To stay healthy. 100%. Therefore, they should have a way to keep the DH spot open by moving Judge to DH or Andujar to DH 2 days a week, and then find a way with no Aaron Hicks to finagle something to happen in the outfield to keep him getting regular at bats. If they don't do that, then that's on the front office. And that's on Boone for not being creative enough.
I completely agree. I completely agree. 100%.
So we'll see what happens. E-Ray apparently has a proposal for us as well as his pop of the week. So E-Ray.
All right, let's do proposal first. So I was listening to Ken Rosenthal's mailbag for The Athletic, and he was just mentioning trade candidates, right? So he mentioned some names. We mentioned these names as well, Jules, last week with Joe Sherman's article. He mentioned Merrifield, but he doesn't believe he'll get traded. But then he mentioned Ketel Marte, which we talked about last week. But he said it would take a massive package. And he included the names Devi Garcia and Florial, who, again, he's like our top guy now, but I don't know if the rest of the league sees him in that light. But anyway, my question to you guys is, would you trade away Devi Garcia and Florial, and maybe if it took some other guys down there for Ketel Marte.
You go first, Josh, because I talked about it last week.
I'm looking at Marte's contract right now. He's got $8 million coming to him in 2022, another 8 in 23, and then 10 million in 2024. I think so. Those are team options. So that's going to come into play in terms of what the Yankees are going to give up. I am in the school of thought. I mentioned this in the winter when we were doing our off-season shows, that when you're a team in this window that the Yankees are in, I'm willing to trade prospects to get back major leaguers who are going to help you win a championship now. I'm not really worried about 5-6 years from now. I know that may be foolish, and that's not really how front offices think. I don't know if I would give up Garcia and Florial for Ketel Marte specifically, but if that ends up looking like the right piece that the Yankees need to acquire to win a championship or to get to a World Series, yes, 100%. I wouldn't even think twice about it. We mentioned something stupid the other week about renting Mike Trout, not Mike Ford. Yep. Jesus Christ.
Oh,
renting Mike Trout from the Angels.
Rent a Ford, but not Mike Ford.
Yeah. Giving whatever it took to get Trout from the Angels for a half a season.
Yep. Doing the old soccer loan.
Trade your prospects. I feel that that's in the Yankees' best interest if it's the right person. So I just want to say it that way.
For the record, I'm pretty sure it was Axia who came up with
the it was my guess
that we talked of. If you haven't read it, essentially it was the old the current soccer loan system where teams can loan out players who, either need some wage relief or want to find a way to be able to, get creative with their finances. The loan was pretty much Yankees' best prospect, not Jason Dominguez, but like a Devi Garcia or somebody like that, and a player to be named later who would essentially turn into Mike Trout. So the Yankees would pay his salary this year and give up a top prospect to be able to get Mike Trout and do that. It would be interesting to see. Rocco's shoving his toy on me right now, so he did want to be involved in this podcast.
Wow.
In some way.
Dog wars.
Yeah, exactly. But for me, Josh, I probably last week would have said, all right, let's do it. But right now, I don't want him to really mess with it because, the playing time thing comes into factor with the Ketel Marte too, because now they have a bunch of guys who they're trying to figure out. By July, I think they'll have a better understanding of what their need really is. I'm still kind of all in on the idea of bringing up Estevan Florial if you need something to kind of see how that works. But, time will only tell. We'll have to see what they wind up doing. And look, it's only May 24th, and the Yankees have won a lot of games over the last 2.5 weeks to the point where we're feeling good. We're feeling jokey and jovial on the pod. So we'll see what happens in the next 3.5 weeks as far as their needs are concerned before we have to worry about who they're trading for, because I'm still holding out that they don't make a move for an outfielder because I selfishly want Max Scherzer to really just hammer home how good our rotation is. Anyway, E-Ray, Papa of the Week as we wrap things up on this long but juicy episode of OLIP.
I know. So my Papa of the Week, I know Corey Kluber pitched a no-hitter and stuff, and again, he's great, but I got to give my Papa of the week.
Wow. Holy shit.
Gleyber Torres.
I saw that coming a mile away.
Out of left field. I was shocked.
Wow. Were you shocked?
I was, yeah. I thought it was Kluber all the way. I was thinking about it at the beginning.
Because this was the weekend of Gleyber Torres. He came back from COVID.
Gleyber Day weekend.
And it was Gleyber Day weekend, and he's back. He's getting hot. He's smiling again. I'm smiling again. He's cute. I'm cute.
What the hell is happening?
I don't know. See, when Gleyber's good, I get excited. But no, Gleyber Torres is my Papa of the Week. I got to write my Papa of the Weeks down because I already forgot who I gave them to.
Yeah, so you do, absolutely.
But that's a
little bit better prepared, man.
That's the thing, man. I don't come prepared. This is just who I am.
You just show up, all right?
Yeah, just show up.
Well, that's why you're the worst member of this broadcast team. I'm totally joking. Josh, one final question for you. Potter crowd. MSG last night or Yankees versus Astros earlier this year?
Whoa.
Josh was, for the record, at the Knicks game last night.
Yeah.
So
I was actually thinking about that earlier today. I have to say the Garden because it was a playoff game. The Knicks have sucked for forever, and they don't suck anymore. And there was also 15,000 people there, and it was very close to a full house. Yankee Stadium, we were 10,000 strong. We were loud as hell, but it wasn't quite that level because while we do hate Houston, it was still May 4th. And last night was something else. It was something else.
Playoff game, absolutely.
Yeah.
Hey, Josh,
So
what
apparently
did you chant,
there were
What did you
fuck
chant?
Altuve chants.
Yeah.
They did. So yes. Now at some point, it was in the third quarter, maybe. There's a stoppage of play. I hear something out of the back of my ear. I'm like, what the hell is that? And what do I hear in Madison Square Garden from a few people in the section above me? Is fuck Altuve chants. So this is a thing in New York now, and I love it.
Did you pop harder for the Stanton homer or for the RJ Barrett posted dunk?
Oh, the RJ Barrett dunk was
probably the dunk. Yeah.
Yeah, that was an explosion. Like I don't even know. I have no clue what I did. I just know that I went crazy, and
that like biggest sports pop ever.
No,
the pop was kind of next level. Yeah.
I was gonna say the Didi homer in the wild card game in 2017 was probably my biggest pop. But yeah, no, that RJ dunk feels the same sort of way. I was gonna compare it to a big playoff home run. It sort of felt like that. And so you've experienced that in person, so you kind of know what it was like to experience the RJ.
It's always even more lit when you're inside an arena because the noise level indoors. Having worked so many years with the Capitals and doing that sort of stuff when they would do those games, it gets next level and something you can't recreate with an open door stadium, no matter 100%. How many people there are there.
Can I say this real quick?
Yes.
I thought for a second I almost got triggered because I thought Jules was gonna say what was more the Garden or the Barclays Center. I'm like, oh, here we go.
Nobody gives a crap.
I know. No, that's what I was gonna say. Like, here we go again.
You set yourself up for that one though.
I as a fan of the number 1 seed in the East, I don't concern myself with the bullshit number 2 seed team. And the Sixers took care of business.
You better be worried about us. But that's for another day.
We'll see you in the Eastern Conference Finals.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Any last words, boys, before we wrap things up here?
Go Yankees. That's it. Let's keep it going. And Cole wants to say goodbye, I guess.
Oh,
goodbye, Cole. Great pitching this weekend. And we'll see how things go. Go Yankees, absolutely. That's going to do it for us here on this episode of OLIP. As always, you can check us out wherever you listen to podcasts. That includes Spotify, Apple Podcasts, TuneIn, SoundCloud. We also try, though recently we've had a little bit of tech difficulties, but we try to put every single episode with our beautiful faces up on YouTube, trying to work around that. And hopefully you'll have all the most current episodes up as soon as possible. But we also live stream this one, so we know for a fact it will be on our OLIP YouTube page, which we'll share the link to, so that way you'll be able to watch this full episode. And it was a long one, but it was jam-packed, and we loved every second of it. For Josh and E-Ray, I'm Julian. Catch you later. Go Yanks.